Thank you, Matt. So today I have the pleasure of sharing the lives of Morris and Ella Gaddie as told by their papers and photographs. The Gaddies spent much of their married life in the Belmar Gardens neighborhood in the East End, where they raised two sons, Morris Jr. and Gregory. Looking through the Gaddie-Truman family papers, you can immerse yourself not just in one family's life throughout the 20th century, but also their broader social, religious, professional, and neighborhood communities. Morris Bell Gaddie was born in Louisville, Kentucky on August 18, 1918. He was the son of Bessie Caldwell and Armstead Gaddie. But when the papers were donated here, the family told us that Morris was primarily raised by his grandmother. Family Bible passages within the collection help us contextualize and understand why. Morris's mother, Bessie, passed away when he was about 4 months old, and his father, Armstead, died in 1923 when Morris had not yet turned 5. We can see in the margins of these pages that Morris added notations and annotations indicating relationships alongside the recorded life events of his direct ancestors. Morris graduated with a Bachelor's of Science from Kentucky State College in 1939. At that point, his path brought him to Wilkinsburg and a job as a materials handler with Westinghouse Electric Company. Ella Rebecca Truman was the daughter of James and Mary Truman. She was born in Newell, Pennsylvania on May 28, 1919. When Ella was a toddler, the Truman family departed Fayette County for Youngstown, Ohio, before ultimately returning to Pittsburgh in 1930, where they settled in Larimer, then in Garfield, and later moving to Center Avenue in the Middle Hill District. Ella graduated from Westinghouse High School in 1937. This photograph from the collection shows Ella with her parents and her younger brother, Richard. Ella and Morris were married on June 27, 1941 at St. James African Methodist Episcopal Church in East Liberty. This is a photograph from the collection of their large wedding party posed in the church. In a wedding memory booklet, Ella saved a copy of their invitation, which you can see here. She also recorded descriptions of her dress, her bouquet, the names of their wedding party, and a detailed list of gifts and the gift givers, which you can see on the right. But the St. James African Methodist Episcopal Church was not simply a venue for the Truman-Gaddie wedding. The Trumans and the Gaddies were active, lifelong members. Ella served the church as a senior usher, as a mentor for the junior ushers, and by participating in the Women's Missionary Society. Morris was a trustee, he sang solos, and led both the Sunday school choir and the senior church choir. In this photo from the collection, Morris strikes a dramatic pose in the church, and I imagine that he's just turned around from choir practice. The collection of St. James AME Church papers and photographs that were saved by Morris and Ella offer a really unique research opportunity for those interested in the history of the church. The Gaddie-Truman collection includes an assortment of programs from the 1940s through the 1990s. Photographs from the 40s through the 70s also record a wide variety of church events, from fundraisers to services. Here we see just a selection, including a fellowship dinner program from 1940, a photo of Ella working at the 1972 Ushers Bazaar, and unidentified parishioners outside the Easter Sunday service in 1967. In 1945, St. James AME Church celebrated their 75th anniversary. In part of the service pictured here, the oldest and youngest members of the church symbolically light candles. The little boy lighting a candle is Morris Jr. I also want to highlight this photograph as it is one of several in this family's collection that were taken by none other than famed Pittsburgh photographer Teenie Harris. Morris served in the U.S. Army during World War II from September 1944 to July 1946. Ella, Morris Sr., and Morris Jr. posed for this family portrait in 1945. Morris and Ella wrote to each other with affection throughout World War II. Their surviving letters in this collection range in size from the small, like this short promise poem that was penned by Morris on April 28, 1945. When folded up, it probably is the size of a business card, to the almost comically large. This oversized letter sent from Korea in October 1945 measures more than 2 feet by 3 feet in size. And if you are here in person, you can see it on the table after the program. In this giant letter, Morris jokes to Ella that she can't expect him to say much in this letter as he plans on using just one sheet. He also includes at the bottom the names, serial numbers, and addresses of his outfit, a group he jokingly refers to as, quote, the famed 342nd Quartermaster Laundry Detachment, whose World War II history has never been revealed. So we get so much personality out of this collection. Ella kept many newspaper clippings from the wartime period. There are undated clippings about a wide range of friends and family members who were in the service. On this scrapbook page, Ella included a Pittsburgh Courier clipping about her brother Richard visiting while on leave. He is the top left portrait. She also clipped an editorial submitted to the Courier by Morris titled "Better Treatment of Race Soldiers Urged." In it, he relates his experience training as an African-American serviceman in the South, being restricted to just 2 streets while his white counterparts were free to explore town. Morris wonders if, in case of enemy invasion, he would only be expected to rise to defense once the enemy breached those 2 streets. After the war, Pittsburgh's first cooperative housing development emerged. The project was billed as a solution for middle-income African-American families who found themselves shut out of home ownership by discrimination in unwelcoming white neighborhoods. The project, called Belmar Gardens, was backed by a federally secured mortgage and was modeled on the recent success of Merrick Park Gardens Housing Cooperative in New York State. This September 1952 ad from the Post-Gazette might have attracted potential co-op members, with this description of owner-occupied, non-discriminatory private homes. Construction began in 1953, and the first units were completed in late 1954. James Truman, Ella's father, bought 7 shares in the co-op, and he and Mary moved into a 5-room end townhouse at 7120 Van Drive. This undated photo from the late 1950s shows the block of connected homes with manicured backyards. In this photo, James Truman is standing on the back stoop of his home. In 1960, James transferred his co-op shares to his daughter. The Trumans moved to a home on Silverton Avenue, which was within walking distance of Belmar Gardens. And Ella, Morris, and their sons Morris Jr. and Gregory moved into the townhouse in December of 1960. The Gaddies would live there for the rest of their married lives. In 1995, the co-op members paid off their 40-year mortgage. To celebrate, a community picnic was held on August 12, 1995. The Hazelwood Marching Music Drill Team led a parade, and residents came together for song, speeches, lunch and dinner, dance and jazz performances, and a symbolic burning of the mortgage. Here from the collection, we have a copy of the event program, and we can see Ella Gaddie's name tag from the event. And in the newspaper clipping on the right from the New Pittsburgh Courier, we can see a photo of other Belmar Gardens residents wearing the same name tag. Although there are not a great number of documents in this collection directly related to the family's decade-long history at Belmar Gardens, it is a collection that fills 3 boxes, and the documents related to Belmar specifically only fill 1 folder. However, the neighborhood's presence is found throughout the photographic collection. We see the home's interior and exterior as an ever-present backdrop for family photographs. Here, the Gaddie family from left to right, Morris Jr., Morris Sr., Ella, and Gregory pose for a photograph in their driveway where we can see a row of identical neighboring homes behind them. In another series of pictures from the mid-1960s, Gregory Gaddie prepares to take a date to a dance. In one image, we see Gregory and his date pose in the driveway where we catch a glimpse of garage doors, a manicured patch of grass, and a little miniature fence. And in another, Morris is waving to the camera with his pipe as Gregory stands holding his boxed corsage next to an automobile parked on Van Drive. Besides their family life, the Gaddie-Truman papers document parts of the professional lives of both Morris and Ella. Morris worked as a clerk for the U.S. Postal Service for 15 years before beginning a second career as a science teacher at the Latimer Middle School. The collection also includes this ID card from the summer of 1965 when Morris took on additional summer work as a health inspector for the Allegheny County Board of Health's poverty program. The Gaddie-Truman papers actually illustrate more of Ella's professional life than of Morris. In 1965, Ella began a 20-year career as a typist for the Health and Welfare Association of Allegheny County. Ella saved many photographs from her time at the HWA, like this undated photo of her at her desk, along with several newsletters put out by the organization. The History Center has the records of the Health and Welfare Association, which later changed its name to the Health and Welfare Planning Association. It is a large collection. It fills 169 boxes. As you can see from this screenshot of the collection's finding aid, the HWPA papers include annual reports, minutes, and numerous published studies on topics including homelessness, domestic abuse, and drug use. But what is not present in the HWPA collection are photographs. So from my perspective as a reference librarian, this portion of the Gaddie-Truman papers immediately stands out to me for its ties to this other large manuscript collection. So the images that Ella saved specifically draw back the curtain on the organization's staff. In her photographs, we get glimpses of the significant, like this page of images taken at the 50th anniversary celebration for the organization in 1972, and the ordinary, like their office spaces. In these two pictures from 1967, we see Kay Voyak and Rose Eaglin at their desks in the Social Services Department. In other photographs, we see the staff enjoying a break from their work, like in these pictures from the 1967 Christmas party. So on the left, Roy Bates and Jane Bond maneuver what looks to be a mounted deer head wearing a Rudolph nose. And on the right, Sarah Whitaker sits at her desk dressed for the party and looking straight out of a scene from Mad Men. In closing, if I had to pick one word to describe this collection, it would be joyous. Throughout the collection, joy just rings out. The joy of being in love, of welcoming new babies and grandchildren, of worshiping with friends, of community celebration, and of meaningful work. So I thank you for the opportunity to highlight just some of this joy with you today.